welcome to Lecture 4 in our series. I'm happy that you can join us. This particular lecture is one full of substance and really and truly is focused on introducing you to actually doing the report. Today, I'm focusing on the manual. Now, the manual is of crucial importance to you for two reasons. Firstly, it is what guides you as to how you should do the report. And secondly, all the information that you can't find anywhere else as regards actually filling out the templates can be found here. This is like your Bible as regards doing the fifth report. Therefore, you should really pay attention to this. Now, firstly, I want to say to you that the manual that we are using for this reporting process, for this 2014 report, has been redesigned in accordance with Decision 16 of COP 11, which, as you know, took place in Windhoek in Namibia. And based on that decision, it has been made simpler and easier for you to use. Firstly, as you would know that ACP affected country parties had to report on 14 consolidated indicators. Now they only have to do 11. DCP or developed country parties have to do 10. Now they only have to do 8. Apart from that, the standard financial annex and the program and project sheet have been merged into one. So what has happened because of that? Now what you see is that the fields for the ACP countries, that is the affected country parties, have been reduced by 40%. And the fields for the DCP countries, that is the developed country parties, has been reduced by 65%. So that is the first thing you need to know, that this manual has been designed around these things and it has changed the reporting templates significantly. Outside of that, the manual explains to you indicators and how they function, right? And therefore, because of that, it is truly and really your main reference guide. Because as you know, your report is an indicator-based reporting system. Outside of that, the manual will tell you where to find the necessary tools that you need to do a good report, to do your report efficaciously. It tells you about the Global Support Project, it tells you about the help desk, and so on. So it is where you will find all the necessary tools which are important for you to do the report. Additionally, it tells you how to practically fill the template. In other words, how do you actually go about doing this? What is the process involved? Okay? And it discusses many of the terminologies that you would have to understand in order to carry out the report. But outside of that, it points you to the glossary, which is where the terms are, which determine how you should understand a particular understanding a particular word, a particular concept, so to speak. Now, outside of that, the manual explains the reporting procedures. It tells you what the deadlines are, and it tells you what the reporting period is. So it makes all of these things clear. As regards performance indicators, it goes on not only tell you what these are, but it clearly tells you who reports on what. Because it's not all entities report on all performance indicators. There are some performance indicators which are only for some reporting entities. For example, if you look at consolidated indicator 2, only the Secretariat reports on that, nobody else. Right? But if you look at consolidated indicator 1, you would see that affected country parties have to report, developed country parties have to report, sub-regional and regional organizations have to report, international organizations have to report, and the GEF has to report. So you can see that here, the manual clearly tells you who reports on what, and you cannot be confused. Now, outside of that, the manual, in dealing with the performance indicators, it gives what the global target is. In other words, what we want to achieve universally as regards the UNCCD process. But it also gives a clear understanding of what the indicator is. It tells you what data is needed. It tells you what could be some of the sources of information in order for you to get that data. and it gives you a methodology to determine what should be or what can be the national contribution to the global target. Now, if you recall, all these global targets were established in Decision 13 COP9. The manual therefore relates these global targets to your national target. Outside of that, the manual allows you to understand how you can do qualitative assessment in terms of how do you go about assessing whether this information is good, this information is bad, this information is useful, how this information relates to the global target, and things like that. Now, I can give you an example. If you were to take Consolidated Indicator 3, for example, the manual tells you that these people are supposed to report on it and how they are supposed to report on it. It tells you who should be involved in this whole process. So what you see here is that the manual really and truly guides you about every single thing that concerns the reporting process. You cannot do the report properly without consulting the manual. It is essential in everything that you do. Now, there's some other things that you need to know about the manual. One of them is that there's some automatic functions within the manual. So for example, if you were to use Consolidated Indicator 5, which deals with the NAP alignment processes, you will see that once you say your NAP is aligned, then certain automatic functions take place. It doesn't allow you to do this, or it doesn't allow you to do that on the template. And if you say your NAP is aligned, then it doesn't allow you to do certain things. So the manual explains how all of this functions. And therefore, when you do get to the template and you try to deal with Consolidated Indicator 5, you would realize first and foremost that, oh, this is why this field doesn't function, because I have put this answer. But if I change the answer, then these fields will begin to function. The manual explains all of that. In other words, what it does, it allows you not to become frustrated when things don't work, because you know why they don't work. Apart from that, the manual also deals with what is called the United Financial Annex. As I've said before, this is the merger between the Standard Financial Annex and the Program and Project Sheet, which has made things much more simpler. Finally, the manual deals with two other things. It deals with what is called additional information. This is about things like the financial resources that you needed, or the financial resources that you would need to do a proper report, and the human resources. In other words, this additional information is about things that are not covered in other aspects of the reporting, and you need to supply that to the reporting process. And finally, of course, it deals with the process of submission, because you might write a beautiful report, it might be nice and wonderful, but if it's not submitted, then we don't see it, the CRIC doesn't see it, and it doesn't become useful to the process. So in short, what you need to understand about this manual is this: three things. Firstly, that it guides you totally as regards the reporting process. Secondly, if you don't use it, you're not going to go correct. In other words, you're not going to be able to correctly complete the reporting process. Thirdly, most importantly, is this: that you might find bits and pieces of information everywhere. For example, in this lecture, on the course that we are offering, in other documents. But the Bible is the manual. So, again, I want to thank you for being part of this lecture, and I wish you every success. Please, again, read the additional material, and in this case, the manual itself. Thank you.